Welcome to The Explainer. I am so thrilled to have you here today because, well, we're looking at an incredibly bold, highly concentrated premise. You know the deal. Right now, AI models are writing code, passing bar exams, generating hyperrealistic video in literal seconds. The pace is just staggering. But the source material we're unpacking today, it actually draws a definitive line in the sand and points directly to one specific year, 2030. We're exploring the concepts behind the groundbreaking title, AI 2030, The Dawn of an Intelligent World. For anyone focused on where humanity is heading, and frankly, how fast we're getting there, this analysis is absolutely essential.
Okay, let's dive into this. Are we ready for the dawn? You see, the text doesn't ask if this shift is coming. It states it as an absolute fact. So the question shifts entirely to us. We aren't just talking about a software update here or, a faster microchip hitting the market. No, we are talking about a fundamental environmental shift. The premise is that the sun is coming up on a completely new way of living and working. And right now, we're just sitting in the pre-dawn hours. It's an exciting yet incredibly urgent concept to wrap our heads around.
Which brings us to Section 1, the 2030 timeline. The source material doesn't talk about the future of AI in some vague, indeterminate sci-fi century, right? It targets 2030, creating a very tangible runway. Point 1 is today. This is our prelude, where we're actively building the foundation. Then point 2 represents the transitional years. That's the fast-paced, highly disruptive period we're in right now, where we shift from AI that just chats with us to agentic AI that actually executes complex tasks and makes real decisions on our behalf. And then we hit point 3, 2030. The text positions this as a definitive arrival point. It's the moment when all these scattered, massive advancements coalesce into a unified era. Honestly, setting this specific date tells us that this shift is an imminent reality, demanding our immediate attention. Moving right along to Section 2, defining the intelligent world.
The phrase, the dawn of an intelligent world, is chosen very, very deliberately. Think about what a technological awakening actually looks like. It's an irreversible shift. We're moving from a period where AI is this novel tool that you have to actively prompt to a reality where AI becomes invisible, foundational infrastructure, kind of like electricity or the internet. You just plug into it without thinking. By using this dawn metaphor, the source material is telling us that the systemic changes we'll see by 2030 are fundamental, permanent, and will illuminate everything totally differently than before.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we can look at the term intelligent world not just as a buzzword, but as a formalized concept of an entirely new global state. We hear the word smart all the time. Smartphones, smart homes, smart cities. But an intelligent world is different. A smart city, for example, reacts to data by changing traffic lights based on current congestion. But an intelligent city? It anticipates that congestion hours in advance and reroutes supply chains entirely on its own. So an intelligent world implies that cognitive capability is no longer just an isolated tool. It's the defining default characteristic of the global landscape itself. Let's compare that. Today, we're the operators, right? Machines are the tools. We direct them to perform isolated tasks. But by 2030, we transition into an environment of seamless ambient intelligence. That dynamic entirely evolves. We're moving from manual technological inputs to an integrated reality. It's a complete structural overhaul, transitioning from a state of fragmented data to autonomous understanding. The source approaches this imminent paradigm shift with a tone of real objective certainty. It's a world where the environment itself actually anticipates our needs. Let's look at how we get there in Section 3, how AI changes everything. So, the crucial point is the absolute certainty behind how artificial intelligence will change the world. Notice that? The source text doesn't frame artificial intelligence as a speculative trend or some passing hype cycle. No way. It positions it as a guaranteed, unstoppable catalyst for global transformation. As learners, recognizing this absolute certainty in the text really helps us understand the magnitude of AI's trajectory over the next decade. It is the definitive engine that's going to drive the next industrial revolution. And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of the promised impact. Let's break down the catalyst, the action, and the scale. When the text talks about changing the world, it isn't speaking in hyperbole. We are talking about sweeping transformations across massive, disparate sectors. In global logistics, predictive AI will restructure supply chains before shortages even occur. In synthetic biology, we're going to see AI designing novel proteins to cure diseases in a matter of days.
even in personal computing, the very concept of an operating system will shift from an interface you navigate to an agent that works on your behalf. The source is predicting a systemic reinvention of human life, driven entirely by this one catalyst.
Which brings us to our final takeaway in Section 4, Dawn of a New Era.
We return to exactly where we started, but obviously with a much deeper understanding of the source material's premise. The dawn of an intelligent world driven by artificial intelligence is an unstoppable timeline culminating in 2030. The text basically guarantees a world fundamentally changed. So the ultimate question really isn't whether this dawn is happening, but rather, when the intelligent world boots up in 2030, will you be a passive consumer of this new reality, or are you preparing right now to be its architect? It's a hugely provocative thought and one that absolutely demands our focus. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep analyzing, and I'll see you next time.